So I want to let everyone know what one of my grand theses are on society at large, writ large, at large. I keep forgetting the difference between them. I'm illiterate, by the way. But one of my grand analyses is everyone is getting dumber, right? And we live in a world that kind of, it hinges on the fact that everyone lives in a different reality. So, like, everyone has a different set of facts that they believe are true, right? And you see this play out in real time all over the place, right? You see this play out, like, people think Jesus is real, so they pray. Jesus isn't real, it's not real, it's all made up, but they think that it's real, so they will do crazy shit because they think Jesus is real, right? Some people, they think that, like, transgender people are, like, destroying the entire sports industry or some shit. There's no evidence of this, right? Like, there's no trans gold medalist, right? But they believe it. They believe it with all of their heart. It has to be true for them, right? It's a fact to them. But again, there is no real consensus on reality. We can't agree. Is the climate changing? We don't know. Is it raining outside? Not sure, right? So, like, people really, there is no reality consensus here. And one of those areas where this is most prominent is COVID. We are in the middle of a pandemic where about 90% of the population pretends as if there were, like, forever lockdowns, you know, like it was like in Fallout 3 or some shit. Like, we just all arrived out of the vault like a year ago. We were locked down for several years. Does anyone remember when people thought that there were vaccine mandates? Does anyone remember this? People actually believe it. Like, you know, think about the Mandela effect. What is the Mandela effect, right? It's where people, like, misremember something in their past. People actually think we had lockdowns in the United States. People actually, like, this is a fact, right? To them, this is like, my car in the garage is red. This is like, my son's name is Jacob, right? This is a matter of fact to them. They actually believe that we lived in a country in the United States that had a vaccine mandate. We did not. Joe Biden said vaccinate or test. And the tests were free. So, vaccinate or don't. It's not a mandate, right? But again, we live in a world where people just don't understand reality. They just can't fucking figure it out, right? And we may now have some interesting news as to why that seems to be accelerating. Beyond the lungs, SARS-CoV-2's multi-organ impact revealed. So again, this is a new medical study. So factor this in, right? You know, this is a field I've covered multiple different studies on how COVID affects the brain. COVID causes your brain cells to fuse together to create, like, unactive masses in your brain of just, like, dead neurons, essentially. They're not able to be used. They're technically living cells, right? But they're just not able to be, like, used in brain processing because they're all fucked up. And now we've got some more information on what that is, as well as some other interesting stuff. Several severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 epidemic waves have occurred. SARS-CoV-2 has evolved with great transmissibility and immunological evasiveness from the ancestral Wuhan Hu-1 strain to the Omicron variant. And then also a reminder, the CDC and the WHO conspired together to stop naming the new variants, right? When people think Omicron, they think, oh, that was so long ago, when it's not, right? They just stopped naming them. They, instead of naming it like Omicron and, like, you know, like whatever the fuck, like Echo Zabaraga, or like, you know, like whatever, like these stupid fucking Greek letter alphabet, whatever, like Sigma variant, right? The Kraken variant, right? Right, they just named it like BA7593949 and said, right? And the average person just, like, doesn't care about that because they're dumb. The average person is stupid. They've probably been infected with multiple infections of COVID, so they're even dumber than they were before the pandemic, right? So again, factor that in. It's part of the cover-up. Long COVID can result in persistent symptoms such as tiredness, frequent headaches, breathlessness, motor dysfunction and concentration, and memory difficulties. Whoa! Memory difficulties. Wait, so you're telling me there's a pandemic, 3 years into the pandemic, people think that there was a vaccine mandate that never happened. People think that there was a mask mandate that never happened. People think that there was a lockdown that never happened. And now we're finding out that COVID affects your memory. Is that a coincidence? About the review. In the present review, researchers present the mechanisms by which SARS-CoV-2 can infect the brain and affect memory. They also discuss long COVID risk factors and prevention strategies. SARS-CoV-2 infects the human brain and affects human memory, facilitated by host receptors. Now, again, I just want to say all of this, right? There are two things. There are two branch points. Get the flow chart out, right? When you get infected with COVID, there are two things you can do. One, research. Know how it affects your body. Try your best to prevent the negative health outcomes. If you are aware that COVID affects your brain, you can do things to try to mitigate that, such as rest, drink water, maybe do a crossword puzzle or two, right? Kind of try to keep your brain exercised, but also rest your body so that COVID has a chance to be eliminated by your immune system rather than going to work and then just living in a parasitic relationship with the virus inside of you for months and months and months. What happens if you get sick and you don't rest? Your immune system is at a disadvantage, and it can sometimes lose the battle, right? So again, awareness is the first step to all of this. But again, most people don't know this kind of shit. Why? Because they're dumb and the government covered up information and the people in this country are too fucking stupid and selfish to actually look things up. How do you think I know this? I look it up. You're telling me dumb motherfuckers are in year 4 of a pandemic and they've never looked up what COVID does? Are they fucking stupid? Well, yes, 90% of Americans are fucking dumb. They're dumb. And this is, again, the through line that I need everyone to understand. This is like the number one takeaway of my show, what I do, what my philosophy, if you will, is about. 90% is the floor. Americans are dumb. They're dumb motherfuckers. So before the pandemic, 90% of the country were dumb motherfuckers. And we know that this virus that we're still in the pandemic for affects the brain. It's only going to get worse. So I want, think about it, right? If you have a memory that is actually functioning, do you remember people being this stupid 10 years ago? Just think about it, right? I mean, again, people were stupid forever. People have always been stupid, but just think. The degree of stupidity, right? How dumb the dummies are, how loud the dummies are, and how many dummies are. Quality and quantity. Right, think about it. 10 years ago. I mean, again, there's a lot of dummies, but just think 10 years ago versus now. There's so many more motherfucking dummies, okay? So, I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that we're in a pandemic. 96% of people were infected with this because the government gave up and they're all too stupid to do anything about it on a personal level, right? And we know it affects the brain. And we know everyone is already dumb. And now they're getting even dumber, and now the tools for them to get out of being dumb and actually learn and educate are being further restricted. You know what I mean, right? So it's a little strange. Long-term COVID-19 patients may develop latent cognitive deficits with dementia. I read a case, a 27-year-old. By the way, for those wondering, I'm 27. A 27-year-old got diagnosed with acute dementia after being infected with COVID 2 or 3 times. Now again, hey, that's an exception maybe, that's an outlier, but I'm thinking to myself, yo, I got a family history of brain disease, there's a pandemic going on, and maybe I have a high risk factor because I have a family history of brain disease, so maybe if COVID affected my brain, I would be one of those people. Or, I don't know, maybe I'd get early onset dementia when I'm 29, when I'm 31. I don't want that fucking shit. I want to live. I want to live a long life, okay? And I guess apparently Americans don't. Americans would rather kill themselves and each other and everyone around them than live a long and healthy life. Americans are so fucking stupid, they'll have kids and then kill themselves before their kids are even able to take care of them in the nursing homes. Americans are way too fucking dumb for this shit. Americans are so stupid, they'll have kids and then purposefully try to put themselves in a position where they're dead before their grandkids are even born. Like, do you motherfuckers want to see your kids graduate high school? Do you motherfuckers want to see your kids fucking have their own kids? Do you motherfuckers want to see your fucking grandchild graduate high school? Apparently not, based on the behavior that I'm witnessing in this country. And I say this as someone who doesn't want children. I don't want to see my grandkids doing anything. I don't want fucking grandkids, okay, motherfucker? Ew, right? But again, I don't know, most people, right? If you ask most people, like, what do you want to do before you die? You'd think, oh, see my grandkid graduate college or some shit would be on that list, right? But actions speak louder than words. Words, I want to see my grandchild graduate college or high school. Actions, I'm going to get repeatedly infected with a disease that destroys my brain and my immune system, as well as eating junk food and processed garbage so that I die when I'm 49, right? So, right? Like, can you make it make sense? And then, I don't know, man, then when you realize, oh, these people, their brains are literally destroyed. Like, their brains were destroyed from the inside out. So maybe it makes a lot more sense, right? Right? SARS-CoV-2 may infect the nasal passages and transmit directly into the brain's olfactory bulb via the olfactory nerves. SARS-CoV-2 infection in the respiratory tract with high viral titers, on the other hand, might produce considerable pathological alterations, allowing the virus to penetrate the circulatory system. What that means is COVID is in your blood. When COVID gets in your blood, what happens after that? Where does your blood go? Does anyone know? Does anyone want a quick biology lesson? Does anyone know? Where's your circulatory system lead to? Oh, I know. Pick me. Pick me, teacher. Oh, every organ in your body. Literally. That's what your blood is for. It flows throughout your entire body. So when COVID gets in your bloodstream, it can just jump out. Oh, I'm going to go to the liver. Yo, let's go. Let's hang out at the liver. The liver's like the nightclub in the human body. Right? Ah, fuck, it's 4 a.m. Where are we going to go? We're going to go home, buddy. The lungs. Let's go back to the lungs. We got to take a nap, buddy. Let's go back to the lungs. Right now, they wake up. They're hungover. They got to go to work. Where are they going to work? To the heart, my man. We gotta fucking pump that COVID into the heart muscles, my brother, right? And so, okay, well, what are we doing after work? Well, we went to the club last night. Let's do something else. Let's go catch a movie. Where are the movies screened? In the brain, right? This is, again, when COVID hijacks your motherfucking bloodstream, it's everywhere, motherfucker. Do people really not understand this? Like, I don't know. I'm a high school dropout, and I understand what the circulatory system is. You know what I mean? Like, right? Like, I just, like, what is going on in this country? Allowing the virus to penetrate the circulatory system and disseminate to other organs, aided by angiotensin converting enzyme 2 ACE2 production by different cell types. SARS-CoV-2 might also infect the eyes and proceed to the occipital brain via the optic nerve. A lot of these words, by the way, I don't say out loud too often. So, you know, just bear with me. I didn't go to college here. I read. I don't fucking say everything out loud when I read, so just bear the fuck with me. SARS-CoV-2 can break the tight connections between the blood-brain barrier, BBB, and intracellular cargo, allowing it to infiltrate different organs. Persistent SARS-CoV-2 replication and SARS-CoV-2 spike protein host ACE2 receptor interactions might lead to syncytia development and increase cytokine and auto-antibody synthesis, thereby affecting brain function and memory in the long run. Again, what is auto-antibody, right? Auto means self. Antibody means, again, your immune system. Your immune system is fighting you instead of COVID. Ho! Isn't that great? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Do you really need to be a doctor to understand that this shit is not good? Like, I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to medical school. I'm reading this shit and I'm like, I'm staying the fuck home. But most Americans read this shit and they go like, let's go to Thanksgiving. Let's go to the club. Let's go to the movies. Hey, let's go to Pride and give all the people my COVID. Woo! Woo! Let's go to the museum. As if Americans are going to museums, am I right? Let's go to Taylor Swift, everybody. Let's go to Taylor Swift. Get some COVID. Woo! Why? Well, for their mental health, right? That's what, when you ask someone why they decided to get repeatedly infected with a brain-destroying disease, they go, 'cause my mental health. My mental health. Y'all, my mental health is at risk sitting down and being a sick, or rather being an unsick individual. You know, my mental health. What does that mean? They're afraid to sit with themselves and their own thoughts. They need an escape from themselves. That's what they mean by my mental health. If you actually gave a fuck about your mental health, you know what you'd do? You'd sit in bed and meditate for 16 hours and work on your own shit. You wouldn't be going to the club and getting a virus, coming home and infecting your children and your grandmother. What the fuck? Are you dumb? Are you a dumb motherfucker? On the list of dumb motherfuckers, where are you? Can you point to yourself? Can you find yourself on this list? It's like, where's Waldo with dumb motherfuckers? Point yourself out. Persistent SARS-CoV-2 I already read that. ACE2, a crucial receptor for SARS-CoV-2 to infiltrate the host, is expressed in various tissues, including the lungs, liver, heart, kidney, brain, and gut. The cluster of differentiation, the tyrosine protein kinase receptor UFO. I love UFOs, my good friends. Neuropilin and C-type lectins are potential SARS-CoV-2 receptors that are expressed in various cell types. Basically what it's saying is there's receptors in various different spots, especially your brain, that COVID can very snugly fit into. Right? It's like, you ever get like a weighted blanket, you know, and you just wrap yourself in a weighted blanket, you get into the fetal position and you're just comfy as fuck? That is COVID in your fucking brain. That motherfucker's comfy as hell. So you can read more of this. This is about prevention, right? Infection with SARS-CoV-2 could result in immunological disorders and cause cellular death. I got hair in my mouth. Which are direct sources of long-term influences in the body's tissues. SARS-CoV-2 may stimulate the immunological system, enabling it to release cytokines and cause cell lysis. Dysregulated cytokine production can result in cytokine storms, leading to serious illness that increase COVID symptoms. SARS-CoV-2 spike protein fusion with cells of the host can result in hyperimmune reactions, cell death, and prolonged symptoms after SARS-CoV-2 recovery. Autoantibodies to type 1 interferon, IFN, enhance the chances of developing severe SARS-CoV-2 infections resulting blah blah blah. Persistent COVID-19 rather can stimulate host immune system reactions in SARS-CoV-2 protein blah blah blah. So what they're basically saying, right, is you gotta rest, right? That's essentially what this is saying, right? Like, I'm here to translate this fucking hoopla into something. If you get infected, you rest. Why do you think the CDC slashed? Remember December of 2021 when the CDC met with the Delta Airlines CEO and then like 2 days later said, all right, guys, 10-day quarantine, isolation, resting period, and we don't need that anymore? Step 1, the CDC meets with Delta Airlines CEO. Step 2, don't rest when you get COVID, guys. Go back to work. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool, man? Isn't that pretty neat? Isn't that just cool? Isn't that just like jolly? You know, you ever hear this shit and you're going like, damn, that is awesome. And yet again, most Americans, they're fine with this because they're dumb. They're dumb. I need you to understand, if you are comfortable getting COVID and giving COVID to your family, your kids, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your friends, if you're comfortable infecting people with this virus, you're a psychopath, but above all else, you're dumb. You're a stupid fucking person, right? You don't really have any value to contribute to society other than spreading the zombie apocalypse. So when we all wonder, why is the world getting so dumb? Why do people believe things that are patently false? Well, when 96% of the population got a virus that destroys your brain, it really starts to fill in a lot of the blanks. So take that information in whatever way you choose.